Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Be Who You Came to Be podcast. I'm your host, Renze, flying solo on the podcast today, talking about how others' opinions are none of your damn business. You know, people have a lot of opinions. People love to share their opinions. We're all entitled to our opinions. We're all entitled to what we think, what we like, what we don't like. But unfortunately, in our world, people's opinions can often be very hurtful. They can cause us to question our authenticity, who we are, who we came to be, what is right for us. Are we on the right track? Are we enough? Because let's be honest, not every time someone lends their opinion, it's in a constructive or nice way. So today I'm going to be talking about this specific thing. Other people's opinions of you are really none of your business. And they should never define you or shape you. I'm going to tell you guys some stories today on the podcast. If you've heard my keynote or read my book, this is the center part of the Be Who You Came to Be message, which is owning it. Knowing that you're not going to be for everyone. Who you came to be, you're going to have to own it. You're going to have to own it because you're not going to be for everyone. Not everyone's going to like you. For some people, you're going to be too much. For some people, you're not going to be enough. But then you got to find your people. Those people who literally love you, celebrate you, accept you for who you are through your flaws, your perfect flaws, you're perfectly flawed. And they want to see you win. They actually love you and are incredibly accepting of you. And, I call them the raving fans because we talk about musicians. And if you know me, I love music. I love musicians. And I like a lot of different types of music. I grew up in a household where we listened to a lot of different types of music. My mom and dad both really instilled a love of classical and jazz, but we grew up listening to country, the Oak Ridge Boys. But they liked their modern day. I remember they went to see the Pointer Sisters in Vegas, and my brothers and I were like, oh my God, and Cool and the Gang. Lionel Richie's a favorite, James Taylor. I mean, I love all these musicians so much. But, when you think about musicians, they have to write the best musicians have to write the music that's in their heart. These singer-songwriters who can create these beautiful compositions of stories that have been in their heart, and they bring them to life, and not everyone likes them. And I think as a musician, that is something, if you read about musicians, it's something that they all go through of hey, not everyone likes me. And I got to stay focused on writing this music for the people who are going to love it. And I think if we all lived our lives a little bit more like that versus trying to fit in or be liked by everyone, it is a human need. It's a basic human need, which is to be accepted and to be loved. But you just have to know that, there's that saying, hurt people hurt. And there's so many people out there who are hurting. And I remember, I always say I'm lucky. I'm a Gen Xer. So we did not grow up with the internet. We obviously did not have social media. We didn't even have friggin' cell phones. I didn't even have my first cell phone until I was out of college. I had a bag phone in my car in high school, which was emergency use only, because I think it was something like $22 a minute or something, but it was that bag phone. I'm sure you guys remember the bag phones. Some of you are listening and be like, what the fuck is a bag phone? But anyway, I did have to use it once. I had my alternator went out of my car and I had to call my dad and be like, yo, I'm stranded. Come get me. But anyway, I had my own, though, literally awful experience. And I guess it was probably 1991. My parents had gotten divorced. I was in a super vulnerable state anyway. I was an 8th grader. I was a 7th grader when they got divorced. My brothers were high schoolers. We split up as a family. It was very traumatic. My mom and I went to move to this town, close by. It wasn't close by. It was I guess it was an hour and a half from where my brothers and dad lived. My mom had a job there. So we moved there, and we moved in, and I was the new girl, and my mom was the new girl. And someone came in the middle of the night, and there were some really nice girls, but there were some really, really mean girls. And they spray painted my driveway, bitch, get out of town. And my mom and I were actually out of town. when this happened. So this sweet little man who lived next door, like I guess woke up in the morning, saw it and like scrubbed it off. But of course we heard about it, and it was all the buzz at the school was like, so and so spray painted Tara Johnson's driveway. And I never actually found out who it was. By the way, if you're listening and it was you, you should just message me and admit this, because I've forgiven you. And I would forgive you if you messaged me now. Like, we were stupid teenagers. But I remember it being so hurtful and also kind of scary. Like, oh my God, the fact that someone would like disliked me so much, who actually knew nothing about me, but disliked me, that they wanted to come and spray paint "Bitch Get Out of Town" on my driveway. And it was scary, but it was also like so hurtful. Like, it was the first time in my life I really remember like seriously having my feelings hurt. And I had my feelings hurt a lot when I moved to this new town. Some of the girls were just really mean. They would call my phone. I had my own line. Did you guys have your own line? Like, we had like the kids line and then like the parents line once you got to high school. And like these girls would just call and like say mean things and then hang up. But I will say that all of that mean girl shit like gave me a serious backbone and like made me find my worth at a young age. And it was that early knowing like, okay, I'm not going to be for everyone. Not everyone's going to like me. And then there were sometimes people, we were misunderstood. In fact, Susie Nelson, if you're listening, I know that when I first moved to the town, like, I think people were like pitting us against each other. And then we worked together one summer and we actually found out that we had a lot in common and we really liked each other and we became great friends. And I have to tell you that as soon as I was friends with Susie Nelson, like, no one was fucking with me anymore, because no one wanted to mess with Susie, okay? And Susie and I became fast friends. And I will never forget how kind Susie was to me that summer. And that summer, I think it was like the summer after I moved there, before I went into high school. And she just kind of took me under her wing, and it made a huge impact in my life. I'm still talking about it to this day. Well, fast forward, just recently I had posted something on Facebook, and the post was intended to stop people being mean on social media. Like, in total transparency, I don't get people don't come after me a lot. Because I think it's primarily because my Be Who You Came to Be message is like, hey, be you, I'm going to be me, and we don't have to think alike. And I honestly, like, even if I completely disagree with you, like, you have my permission to be you, and I will never come at you. But so I don't get, a lot of times people don't come at me, but I reshared a post that someone that I went to high school with was like, hey, remember when Facebook was us sharing, Charlotte's cookie sale and what, Shane did at his track meet last week and what you're having for dinner, and, just this fun stuff. Like, the connection that we had with just people of like, oh my God, I loved this recipe, or congratulations, or like, it used to be really fun. And I don't know about you, but I do not think Facebook is fun, and I rarely go over there anymore. But I thought this was so great. And he was like, the fact is, he put in this post, like, posting divisive things on current events or politics isn't solving anything when we're putting it on social media, because one, it's not changing anyone's mind, and all it does is, it ignites, it triggers people, it ignites hate, and at best, half the people are going to like it and half of them aren't. And what's the freaking point, really? Like, what's the point? So I shared it and I was like, amen to this. And I got a lot of amens to this. And then I got someone in the comments who like came after me hard. Like, you're posting this because you're privileged and you're white and you're a woman. And also, this was also a white woman. But anyway, I don't know if that matters. She came after me about suddenly my gender, my race, that I was privileged, and that that not everyone has the opportunity to use a platform for positivity, which I disagree with. I think that we can use our platforms with whatever we want, and we can also make change with positivity versus tearing people down, making people feel ashamed, throwing stones. Like, I think that we can make statements with love. And then some other woman came and started chiming in on her post about who I was and what but bad stuff, like not nice stuff. And they were going back and forth. And I ended up taking the post down because I didn't want to ignite like a political war on my page when I was trying to actually unite people. And I know how this works. Like people get so triggered that they just go instantly into like, bantering and talking shit and whatever in the comments. And I was like, I'm not going to do this. But I will tell you, an interesting feeling overcame me, and that was fear. Um, I actually felt very vulnerable and scared. I don't really know why. I don't know if it was back to those like early days of, getting bullied as a kid. But just seeing how two people would come after me so hard, it scared me. It literally made me feel fearful. It made me feel unsafe. And I started thinking about how that this is happening to so many people on a daily basis, and it terrifies me, and it's so scary, especially for our youth, that people would take the time to go onto your page and tear you down, that they would take the time to go onto your page and make you feel terrible about who you are and who you came to be. I recently had a business interaction with someone that I hired to do some work for me, and I wasn't super happy with the work. The last thing I would ever do is go give them a shitty review. Like I'm not going to do that. I'm not in the business of that because one, everything would be taken completely out of context. And two, I'm not here on earth to try to make life shittier for someone else. Like I am put here on earth to try to lift people up and to make them feel like they're enough. And am I perfect? Absolutely not. Do I have my own fair share of flaws and mistakes and self-sabotaging beliefs and regrets? Yes, a lot. I do. I am only human. But we get so wrapped up in what are other people thinking about us and this desire for acceptance when that is a completely unattainable and ridiculous desire for anyone to have, which is to be accepted by the masses, because people can't even be accepting of themselves. If someone can't accept themselves, how on earth could they accept you? And if someone isn't accepting of any, doesn't have any tolerance for people who don't believe exactly like them, then how could they ever have tolerance for you? Because no matter what, we are different. Even if we think alike on 90% of things, we're going to have that 10% that we just don't agree on. And we have to learn that just because we don't agree on everything doesn't make someone bad or wrong. And it also doesn't give us permission to use social media, specifically is what I'm talking about right now, as a veil where you can go on and tear people down and say mean things and get together with another human and bully someone in their comments on their page. That's terrifying to me, because that was my post, it was my page, and I realized too, like, okay, these are not Facebook quote unquote friends, which also I think one of the reasons we have all these problems on Facebook is if you think about when you started your Facebook account, friends, that was, for me 17 years ago. And, the world has changed quite a bit over the last 17 years. But I have one more story to share about, people putting their opinions on you. And here's the thing, we all are entitled to our opinions, but I would beg you to think twice before you give a negative comment or a negative opinion to someone, knowing that it could really hurt them. And, mental health is definitely a hot topic right now. And I think so much of it is because of all this divisiveness and mean, opinionated stones that are constantly thrown on social media, on the news. I mean, you just cannot dial in without seeing people just coming at other people in ways that is just crazy. So, we do love to compare. We love to put our ideas out there. We love to put our opinions out there. You guys know I wrote a book, and I'm really proud of my book. Like I tried to write that book for a long time, and every time I would like think that I was on the right track, I was like, this book sucks, and I'd have to start over. And it took me a very long time to get to a point of self-regard where I was like, I am ready to publish this book and put it into the world because I am proud of it. And not everyone's going to like it, and that's okay because I am writing this book for the people who need it. For the women specifically, my book is written to women who are feeling lost, who are feeling like they're not enough, who constantly question everything in our lives. And I wrote this book for myself. Like everything that you read in that book is something I have struggled with personally. And So I put the book out there, and as you guys know, you get reviews, like book reviews. It's a big thing. Like, go leave me a review. Go leave me a review. And so, if also, I self-published the book. I've self-published it twice. Proud to say I've sold like 6,000 copies, and I actually am publishing with a publisher this summer. It's going to be a new revised book. It's got new secrets in it, a new preface to the book, preface. You say tomato, I say tomato. I don't know. Anyway, I'm proud of this book. Okay. And I've gotten a lot of good reviews, and those reviews have fueled me and made me feel so amazing. But with every good review, you might get a bad review. Like, you put yourself out there, and you know what? People are entitled to their reviews. So one day I was looking online. It was actually Scott and I were looking online. Well, the truth is, the backstory on this is actually kind of funny. He was like, lots of people are getting deep faked, and you are like the ultimate person who could like wind up in a porn because, your voice is out there. There's pictures of you. I was like, oh, well, if someone deep faked me and put me in a porn, I hope they would make me look really good. I was joking, of course. But we started looking around, not for me in porn, but we were just looking around like what could possibly be out there about Tara Renze. So he was like, whoa, ooh, babe, did you know you have a 1-star review? I was like, what? A 1-star review? Like, I mean, I got a couple 3 or 4 stars, whatever. Like, they didn't like completely trash the book, but 1-star review. That's like, this is like, someone got the book and literally then took the time and was like, I have got to tear this book down because this was so bad. And so she wrote in the 1-star review, she goes, 1 star, this book was not for me, nothing new. Tara, cares about herself. This book immediately went into the Goodwill pile, which I have to give this woman credit for at least donating to Goodwill. Like, she could have like made it like a fire starter. But the book is pretty. Like, even if you don't like the message, like, it's a beautiful book. It's ivory with gold foil, like, looks great on a coffee table, unless it was so triggering that she was like, I couldn't even possibly have this book in my house because it sucks so bad. So anyway, I was like, oh my God, a 1-star review. And she gave it to Goodwill. And like, I remember Jack, my son, was like, Mom, I am so sorry. Like, are you okay? I was like, it's fine. Like, it's fine. But I'm only human. Back to this desire to be accepted and loved. I lost sleep over this 1-star review. Like, it was the thing that was waking me up at 3 a.m. Like, hey, wake up. Let's think about that 1-star review. It wasn't never at 3 a.m. was my mind waking me up and being like, let's go through all the amazing reviews that your book has got. So after quite some time of me literally thinking about this woman who gave me the 1-star review, no idea who she is, I was finally like, gosh, Tara, just take your own advice. Like, go read the Own It chapters in your book and like, get over it. Like, get over it. Who cares? It's a 1-star review. So I got over it. And then something serendipitous happened. I get this message months later on Instagram, and it's this girl. She's got my book. She snapped a selfie with it and said, look what I found today. And I was like, oh my God, I started reading this, what she wrote. And she said, I found this book on a day I was losing my heart. And we kind of talked back and forth a little bit. And I said, I'm so glad you found the book. And she said, I really needed this book. I felt like it was speaking to me. And I am so excited to truly dive in, like what I've, experienced love so far. So of course I was like, well, where'd you get the book? She's like, I actually found it at Goodwill. I was like, are you kidding me? But she went on to say two funny things. Well, 2 interesting things. One, she said she loves to go to Goodwill to look around, to find things that speak to her, right? I mean, this is something that someone else has discarded, whether they thought it was shit or they just didn't have use for it anymore, or maybe, it just didn't fit them anymore. So they donated it to Goodwill. It doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it wasn't for them anymore. And she did. She said, and I saw this book. I was not planning on buying anything, and it was like a magnetic pull. And then she wrote, she's like, oh, by the way, I hope the location isn't disheartening. And I got the giggles thinking about the location isn't disheartening. I was like, yeah, I can see why you felt like that, because it was disheartening until you sent me this message, and then suddenly I'm like, oh my God, find your people, find your raving fans, like. If something is meant for you, if you put something out in the world and you believe in it and you lead with love, the love will guide you, tagline that goes with be who you came to be, you will find your people, and you will find hate along the way. You will find naysayers. You're going to find people who tear you down, who spray paint your driveway, who put nasty things on your Instagram, who talk behind your back. There's those people out there, but who are you surrounding yourself with? Like, who are you choosing to let into your inner circle? Who do you feel safe with? If you are with a group of people and you do not feel safe or secure in who you are, and you leave feeling small, those are not your people. If you surround yourself with people and you leave them feeling larger than life, like you could lift a car, like you feel just so good about who you are, who you came to be, they're 100% loving and accepting of you. Those are your people. Sur- Surround yourself with those people. Those other people, distance them from you. I love the idea of these raving fans. Like, give your fans the front row to your life. Put everyone else up in the nosebleed section. Like, if they really want to come and walk around, put them up so loud that you couldn't hear if they were booing and talking smack on you, because your raving fans and the people who want you to win and want you to be who you came to be are so close to you that they are cheering you on every step of the way. So, you know, next time someone questions you, next time someone judges you, I really, really want you to remember that their opinion is none of your business. Like, who they think you should be is not who you came to be. You didn't come to be more like them. You didn't come to please them. Even as much as your mother or your father or your spouse or whoever, you came to be you. Don't ever water down your authenticity to fit in, to please someone, that you're like, oh, I can't be like this around this person because they're going to judge me and not like me. Yes, you have to know your audience and how you can show up in different situations, but like, you got to be you. And the minute you finally come to terms with exactly who you are and exactly who you came to be, knowing that not everyone's going to like you, some people are going to judge you, others are going to misunderstand you, but you're going to stay true to who's in your heart, those raving fans, those people who love you are going to come pouring in. And the trajectory of your happiness, your love, your success is completely going to skyrocket. And you're going to go to new heights and new levels of success in your life. So I want to leave you guys with a couple things to reflect on. Who did you come to be? Who are your raving fans? Do a little inventory of the people that you're surrounding yourself with. Like, are you constantly bantering and arguing with people on social media? Hide, dislike, unfollow. There's people who I actually really love as humans. I don't love their social media. Do I unfriend them? No. Do I mute their posts? Yes. Yes, because in my heart, I love this person. I just don't want to see their posts all the time because they trigger me or whatever. And it goes back to like, I don't have to like every single thing about someone to love them and to accept them. And this is where we have to get, is that we have to be accepting of everyone. You are not for everyone, but you are meant for someone, and you are meant for a group of people. So, who are you when no one's watching? Who are you in your heart of hearts? And find your people, find those people who love you, knowing that for some people you're going to be too much, for others you're not going to be enough, and then you're going to find your people. You have to own it. Another thing I encourage you to do is, if you've ever hurt someone's feelings, apologize. Just apologize and say, I am so sorry that I did that. That was so small of me, and I just want to apologize. Not I'm sorry, but, or I'm sorry I made you feel that way. Just a true apology. I have this saying in my life that I take care of my relationships. And I recently messed up with some friends, and I put something in a text that I shouldn't have. And I went and found that friend, and I was just like, I just want to apologize to you. I want to tell you I love you. I should not have written that. I'm sorry. I was emotional. And anyway, I love you. And I want to come in here, and I want to talk to you. I want to make this right. And honestly, it's just what we both needed, because we're only human. You're going to make mistakes. Sadly, you are going to hurt people's feelings, even if it was unintentional, whether it was the heat of a moment and you said something out of emotion and fury that you didn't mean to. Just apologize. Like, just say, I am sorry I hurt your feelings. I am sorry I did that. I'm not proud of it. If I could take it back, I would, but I couldn't. But what I can do is tell you I love you, and that I'm sorry. So that's today's episode. It's really about owning it, owning who you are and who you came to be, and giving other people the permission to do the same. You have to give other people the permission to do the same. I love the Mel Robbins let them theory. If you haven't been following her, there's this let them theory, like just let them do them, let them be them. And the let them theory is really one of the catalysts to being who we came to be. Because the minute we can let other people believe the way they want to believe and not have it impact us, and the minute we can let them have their own beliefs without tearing them down or trying to hurt their feelings, and then the minute other people let us be who we came to be, everything changes. Everything changes. So if you know Mel Robbins, her and I should talk, because the let them theory is the catalyst to being who you came to be. It's that self-acceptance of us and giving other people the permission to do the same. You got to own it. You got to own who you are, who you came to be, your success story, your friendships, your love, your relationships. Own it. Own it. Own you. There's only one you. Thank you guys so much for listening to the show today. We've got an amazing episode for you next week. My friend, my colleague, Giselle Ugardi, sounds like Giselle Let's Party, is going to be on. We're going to be talking about social media. She's a social media expert. What's going on with social media, how we can use it to our advantage, and all those things. Lots to, as they like to say these days, unpack. There's a lot to unpack. All right. Thanks for listening. Keep shining. Live unapologetically authentic. Be who you came to be. I'm Tara Renze, signing off.